Today, when public works.
On behalf of the nation, to say to you, well done.
The Hoover Dam, the largest public works project in U.S. history, a marvel of American engineering.
Beautiful, isn't it? A great monument to man's unceasing industry and his stubborn faith in the future.
It's a symbol of what good government can do, and an example of investment versus spending, turning groups of breadlines into groups of breadwinners. Right now, Steel on Wheels driving home our commitment to bring jobs back to this country.
Live from a symbol of what works, the show starts right now.
And good afternoon to you from the magnificent Hoover Dam right here in Boulder City, Nevada. 76 years since it opened for business, and it still stands as a marvel of American investment, American innovation, and American engineering. The key phrase being government investment as opposed to government spending. Welcome. I am Dylan Radigan, and it took 21,000 men, 5 years, to complete this unprecedented project, working at times in 135-degree desert heat. The legacy of these men: flood control, crop irrigation, and power generation for some 30 million people and industry throughout the Southwest. But the other legacy: government stimulus that works, spending to create jobs, while simultaneously solving our nation's problems. Fast forward to now, we live in a world of magic money printing that continues to plunge us into debt while only supporting and propping up special interests whose time may well have passed due to technology. The question we are asking, in our campaign to bring jobs back to America, who does the American government work for, and how can we get that government working for the American people and the American nation? Joining us now, former Pennsylvania governor and NBC News political analyst Ed Rendell, and with us right here at the Hoover Dam, John McQuaid, journalist and author of Path of Destruction: The Devastation of New Orleans and the Coming Age of Superstorms. Governor, how do we get more of this?
Well, very simply, we've got to make our case to the American people that, in fact, infrastructure provides things we need, like the Hoover Dam, like good levees that will hold in New Orleans and Cedar Rapids, that it's important for us as a substantive benefit, but it's the single best job producer for the middle class we can do, Dylan. Number one, jobs on the construction site, and number two, jobs back in the factory. Just from stimulus spending alone in Pennsylvania, orders for steel went up 43% over the previous years. For asphalt and concrete, more than 50%. That meant jobs back in the factories as well as jobs on the construction side. In fact, our own government says for $1 billion of infrastructure spending, we produce 25,000 well-paying jobs.
What do you think is the core political barrier, and do you have any ideas as to how we collectively, the media, the political construct, and the grassroots of the American people who surely want this sort of thing can actually mobilize?
Well, interestingly, Building America's Future, the group that I head up with Governor Schwarzenegger and Mayor Bloomberg and the Rockefeller Foundation, we're going to release a poll on Monday that's going to show that the American people understand that spending on transportation infrastructure, and for that matter, other infrastructure, our dams, our levees, our grid system, our broadband, that those things are things they want to spend money on. We've got to convince the policymakers that they shouldn't be afraid to invest in our growth. There's not a company in this country, Dylan, that became successful that didn't invest dollars in their own growth, and we need to do the same thing. Either invest or die.
Yeah, it's a very simple piece of math, John. You've done a lot of reporting on the state of American infrastructure. In a nutshell, what's your assessment?
It's falling apart, literally in some cases. I mean,
what are some examples?
well, I mean, you have the New Orleans levee system, which was built over 40 years and was a disaster. Basically had errors in the flood walls that caused them to collapse. Our roads are inadequate. Our airports, our rail systems. I mean, if you go to Europe or to Shanghai, to Berlin, say, and then you come back here and you make a comparison, there is none. I mean, it's pathetic.
All right, welcome back to the Hoover Dam. Well, Brent takes Matt on a tour of the work of his alma mater's most famous alumni. We'll take a little tour of our own. Over the course of the 5 years during the Great Depression, more than 21,000 folks helped build this Hoover Dam, a modern marvel using enough concrete to pave a highway from San Francisco all the way to New York City. Since being dedicated by President Franklin Roosevelt in 1935, it has helped control floods, provided hydroelectric power to much of the Southwest. Here's a look inside the dam.
We're looking over Lake Mead, which is the largest man-made lake in the United States. Holds 27 million acre feet at its capacity, which is like 9 trillion gallons of water. We provide tours to about 1 million people a year come to visit Hoover Dam. I would say 56% of the power goes to California, along with 19% to Arizona, 25% to Nevada. What that is clean hydropower, which is considered renewable and green energy. So this provides energy for 30 million people in California, Arizona, and Nevada. All right, so right now we're looking out over the Arizona powerhouse. There's 9 units here in Arizona. We have 8 more on the other side of the river in the Nevada powerhouse. The first units here at Hoover Dam were put in service in 1936. The last unit in 1963, so there was a long time that they took to build all these units here. Right now, Hoover Dam is capable of putting out over 2,000 megawatts of power on the grid in the southwestern United States. Hoover Dam puts out enough energy for 1.3 million homes. This tunnel was actually one of the original diversion tunnels, which helped divert the Colorado River around the dam construction site. Let's go out there and see that. So we're out in one of the original diversion tunnels that was dug by people on a truck with scaffolding and jackhammers and dynamite, and they just bored a hole through the canyon to divert the river around the construction site. Pure hard work, manual labor. Out in the heat of the summer here on the work site, it was not uncommon to see temperatures of 130 degrees down at the bottom. It took them, 5 years to build the dam, came in ahead of schedule and under budget.
Well, just down the road from where I sit today is, of course, Las Vegas, ground zero for the housing crisis in this country and across America. Housing prices continue to slide, and foreclosures show no sign of letting up as that giant bubble that was inflated over the past 10 years with the funny money that was printed using your pension fund continues to dissipate even as they print money to support the banks. The banks continue to pay bonuses, but the American homeowner continues to suffer and suffer tremendously. No signs of action from the federal government on this issue, and questions still remain as to what state attorney generals can do. Reports this week that regulators are proposing a $30 billion fine against the big banks over their handling over the foreclosures, but no sign of actual modifications or reconciliation with principal write-downs that may be the only way to get out of this mess. If we let the banks off the hook with accounting modification and bailouts, why is it that we're leaving the American homeowner stuck paying the bill for people who didn't have the money to lend them in the first place? It was our own money. Meanwhile, the internet group usuncut.org is planning a national protest tomorrow against Bank of America. Joining us now is Nevada State Attorney General Catherine Cortez Masto, who is suing Bank of America over loan modifications. And with me right here at the Hoover Dam, we're joined by a couple in foreclosure who's been through mediation and all sorts of wrangling to try to keep their home. Lynn and Bill Jervis, they are staying in their home right now with their 4 dogs until the bank kicks them out. And give us a little bit of a sense, Lynn, of what you've been through up to this point.
It's constant. Every time they tell us that they need paperwork from us for our income and whatever it is that they need, a month later they turn around and say, now you need to update it. It's been going like this for a year and a half.
I understand, Bill, you're dealing with a German bank?
Deutsche Bank.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think they're based in New York.
Attorney General Masto, what can be done to administrate justice at this point when the injustice is so clear to the American people, and it's pretty clear that with the executives at Deutsche Bank or any place else really could care less what happens to folks like those sitting with me today?
Dylan, first of all, welcome to Nevada. I'm sorry I could not be there in person to welcome you, but thank you for discussing this important topic. And let me say, just what you heard from Lynn and Bill, that's what we are addressing. That is why we are suing Bank of America in Nevada for their deceptive trade practices when it comes to their servicing. They make these promises that they're going to help people modify their loan, reduce their principals, help them stay in their home, and they do just the opposite.
Well, we'd like to thank everyone who has helped on this particular leg of the Steel on Wheels tour, the guests, the crews, and you at home who have helped us set out in our own learning and our own ability to share what we have learned, and we have learned so much.
We're just looking for a level playing field.
Deal honestly with China.
They've literally become Chinese companies. They're lobbying in Washington against their own workers' interests in the United States.
Inside a marvel of modern manufacturing in downtown Seattle. Dylan, what do you think? Man, that's pretty unbelievable. Welcome to the Port of Oakland. Where's the person driving that crane up? Where's the pilot?
Crane is, there's a little cab. In fact, we're going to get you up there in a few minutes.
Okay.
So I hope you like heights.
Oh, well, I don't, but that'll be exciting for the crew.
And we got a beautiful...
Yeah, we're about 130 feet up in the air. If you got to go to the bathroom, though, you got a problem. There are no bathrooms up here on the crane.
Our education system isn't well aligned to support our economy. You cannot teach from a lectern or in a lecture hall. It has to be hands-on. That's why it's such powerful learning. It really does work.
My teachers, they ask us to ask them questions.
It all begins with innovation and a new idea. It's no coincidence that most of these companies have been started by young people.
Young people innovate, and our job as venture capitalists is to take that risk.
Good afternoon to you from the magnificent Hoover Dam right here in Boulder City, Nevada. 76 years since it opened for business, and it still stands as a marvel of American investment, American innovation, and American engineering. We can solve all of our problems by simply making the decision to do so. I truly believe that. As rough as we can be sometimes in acknowledging and pushing on this program to deal with healthcare, to deal with banking. We do that not to tear these institutions down, but to inspire them to actually help us push through these problems and into the solutions that we know are at our fingertips. We travel this country, we see the passion, we feel the passion of the American people. Their strength, their intellect, and their desire is real. It's just a matter of making it happen. I believe that will happen sooner than later. And I'm Dylan Radigan. Hardball starts right now.